Hello, day 16 of the vlogging challenge. Today we're talking about hindrance. I would say probably early on one of my biggest hindrance was not having a college degree. I worked for this company probably for approximately 10 years. And even though I broke every record they had when it came to sales, I was a route supervisor and I wanted to move to the next position, which was outside sales. And I was told that I couldn't get it because I didn't have a college degree. And I probably worked around 70 hours a week, so it would have been very difficult to go to school and handle such a hectic schedule in all the different territories that I was responsible for. So making no excuses for it, but just didn't really have time to go to college, but wanted to sell so bad. When I first got out of the military, I applied for this position for this company. And fortunately for me, the guy who did the hiring was an ex-Marine. And this is how he hired people was he'd make an appointment with you. First of all, he'd see if you showed up on time, of course. But not only that, he'd watch from the window. I found out about this later. He'd watch from the window to see how you walked across the parking lot, whether you walked briskly or not, or whether you just kind of drug your feet. And then when he interviewed you, I remember interviewing with him, and he said he stepped out of the room for a minute, and I noticed that there was a can sitting there on the floor, and I picked it up and put it back on the desk. So I found out later on that was another part of his hiring practices, was to see if you had the initiative to do something like that, just picking a can up off the floor or just seeing something that needed to be addressed and addressing it. So we laughed about it. But anyway, I stayed there about 10 years, and then one day I decided, you know what, I enjoyed sales so much, and once I realized that I just was not going to get that position, what happened was one day he called me from the golf course because I really pretty much ran, the company. All the responsibilities fell on me, even though he made 3 times as much as I made. He called me one day from the golf course, and he says, "Everything okay?" And of course I said, "Everything's fine." He didn't want to know what had happened or any of that stuff. It was always just that call I got 3-4 times a week, "Is everything okay?" And really all he wanted to hear was yes, and 99% of the time it was. Every now and then I had an issue maybe that he had to address, but for the most part, he could play golf 3-4 times a week, and most of the responsibility felt on me. And then one day when he called, and for some reason that particular day, I said, you know what, I can just sit here and continue to be in this position, seeing that it was going to be difficult to move to the next position, or I can do something about it. So I began to read entrepreneur magazines. I read them actually probably for about 6 months, and I looked at all the different businesses, what was making money, how much the initial investment was, that type of thing. And I came across one business, which I don't know why I came across it, that interests me, but it was a mobile detail business. And at that time I had a truck. I had a little Mazda B2000 truck, and I was reading up on it, and this has probably been right at about 20 years now, but it wasn't common. I didn't know of anyone who was doing it. And you can buy the tank and the backs and the pressure washer, and you can basically do a vehicle in the desert. You can do homes, driveways, all that type of stuff. So looked into it a little deeper, and I decided, you know what, this is going to be my business. This is what I'm going to offer as a service, because I always enjoyed either selling a product or a service. I can recall the first job that I did, they paid me more in one day than they paid me in a month for working there. And I never would forget thinking to myself, I've made the right decision, and I'm going to forge on with this. I'm going to keep pressing. Even though, to be honest with you, there were people, especially at the company, who thought maybe I had lost my mind by walking away from a really good paying job. I mean, they paid me well, the benefits were well, but for some reason I just had this void of wanting to do more. I had gotten a little complacent and a little bored with what I was doing. It wasn't very challenging. And I remember, some of the guys even laughed at me. They're like, "You're out here washing these trucks now." Of course, they had no idea how much I was making, and I've never been one to feel that I have to defend, my decisions or my position just for the sake of doing it. And I will do it when it's necessary, but just to tell